What's good, everyone? Welcome back to part two of the Empire Strikes Back conversation, movie review, whatever you'd like to call it. Big shout out to Jedi. We're back here again, once again. So, obviously, I know you really wanted to talk about your prototype helmet, so I think we should get into that first of all. So, can you explain about the color and why it looks like that, and maybe to
what this actually I think they go about it in a documentary. I think it's called Emperor Dreams, and they state why there is a prototype is white, because it was the original actual, not drawing concept but actual costume concept for the stormtroopers.
Yeah,
that's why it's white. And but the whole body armor of it, if you I'm guessing you've seen the full outfit of the prototype one, is it was too expensive. And that's why, so they changed then to
also,
what we
they
get
wanted
as
to
stormtroopers.
differentiate between him and the stormtroopers because he would blend too much, obviously, in with
Who's that?
Boba Fett would blend too
Well,
much.
Boba Fett was going to be what? Yeah, that was because they loved the design so much. They changed it, and then they introduced it as the full one. And there's I like the white as it goes. I like the prototype, just the like it's quite a clean, and it's very, very cool. But this helmet is it's quite cool. I like it's just a really cool. Yeah, it's got all the little paddings and everything.
Nice.
So it's really cool.
You actually see it.
Yeah, you can actually fully see. That's right.
However you want, you can continue the rest of the interview.
Just there completely in that. But yeah, it's a really actually comfortable helmet. I must have the right head size. But yeah, all the I suppose the Mandalorian helmets are cool, aren't they? I do like them. But yeah, it's my favorite, just because it's just sleek and all, like, it just looks cool. But yeah, it would have been different if he came out in white. I don't think it would have worked. I think I liked his tattered, beaten up look on the like kind of the greens and everything and the yellows.
Yeah, I like how his armor looks faded as well. And
it's like he's been in the wars, really. Like that.
Yeah. You can see his armor as well. And plus, it's befitting to the type of job that he does, because bounty hunters, assassins in Star Wars mainly haven't really been known to be too suave and sophisticated, if you know what I mean. They only have some sort of quirk towards them, and they're based off like other different types of characters. Like, for example, Cad Bane, you can see the inspiration from spaghetti westerns and Clint Eastwood. Same with, obviously, Fett's kind of design and whatnot. But anyways, let's put that to one side. So back to the review itself. What are some of your other favorite parts of the movie? Because I'm trying to think to where we've got up to in the film.
I think we've jumped. I say, going out of Boba Fett, I do like when they go into the asteroid, the Millennium Falcon, and he sticks onto the side of the ship, and then he's waiting for he knows their garbage procedure for some reason, and then he thought he's like, I've outsmarted them, and then just as they fly away, Slave One comes into shot. I love that bit. It's just like, and then you get the first time he's like, you get the view from the cockpit of Slave One. I really like that.
I loved how Slave One was such a different, iconic looking ship as well to every other ship, just because of the fact that you could fly it vertically and you could also fly it. It was it felt like that ship was purposely made for battle. It's like, I can fight you in any different dimension that I'm in, I'm fine.
Because it was like, even when you I haven't got it, but like when you bought it, it sat like that, but it flew like that, and it's just like, and it was cool. Like in the original, like the actual toys got a little handle, so you could actually fly it around like that. So it's brilliant. I love it. But yeah, there's so like iconic bits. It's like in this is like when the Emperor wants to make contact, and we spoke about like how and he's like, we need to come out of the asteroid field to make a clear and clear transmission. It's great. But here you go. What do you think they were right to change the Emperor from the original? Bit goggle-eyed, wasn't he? It was a bit like,
because it was a woman, wasn't it? Who used to, I can't remember her name, but God rest her soul, she passed away, I believe. But I think it makes more sense, but George Lucas had a habit of doing that with every single iteration of Star Wars films that came out from VHS to 4K Blu-ray. All right, I know it's Star Wars by Disney, but for example, we said that in previous episodes that happened with Greedo and Han Solo, the blaster shootings. That happened with. I know that was just like a visual thing, but CGI upgrading in movies. George is a perfectionist. I didn't make this franchise, so if he thinks it is right, then I'm happy to go along with it.
Yeah, there's only a couple of times I would go, "Oh, I didn't like that. That wasn't needed." But I think it's fine. I think for what it was. I think in A New Hope, it was more of they changed a lot of the constraints of the technology. This one, they changed the complete new character, but you didn't notice really because it's such a short, but it's impactful scene.
He has his role in the movie, but at the same time, he's never, we don't spend a lot of the time with the Emperor. If you go, we get to know him more so, but it's just initial conversations and him giving information to Vader and whatnot. So I don't really think it took anything away from the movie, but you've made me want to try and track down like the original version or track down a new version just to give myself permission to watch this film twice and do a side-by-side comparison on no, I don't really feel like it took anything away.
I think the original one was scarier looking, I must say that.
But then I also feel like when you watch a movie, your nostalgia goggles kind of change. So like how I watch the OTs is very different from how I watched them as a kid, because when I watched them as a kid, as I said, the probe droid to me, it wasn't scary, but the music and everything. I do music as well, so music plays a big part into films for me. Like that music is iconic, and it was a different type of sound for Star Wars, so it was kind of scary. The whole Wampa was a different kind of vibe to it as well. And you got to understand, when I watched these, I was 6 years old, so like I'm a little kid, like watching this big omnibus Vader, and then there's like these droids and whatnot. So when I go back and I watch Empire now, I have a different appreciation for it due to things like what we said earlier on. The scene in the cave in Dagobah where Vader's face is revealed or whatever else. I have a different appreciation and understanding of the OTs now than what I had when I originally watched them. But I don't think it takes anything away from them. I think if anything, I actually like the OTs more now that I'm older and I've been able to understand and appreciate the lore. And we've had obviously all these films come prior to it. Let's not talk about Disney ones, but and everything that's come into fruition. I think more than anything, all the other forms of media that have come out have made me appreciate OTs and prequels more now, because we've had other things to kind of slot into place, like Rogue One, Solo, Clone Wars, so on and so forth, Rebels. I think the only thing that I would change, I don't think it's even a big change in any way at all. I haven't noticed they've changed it at all. Just make the lightsaber slightly thicker from the original OTs. Like because I know they've done their touch-ups and whatever else, but if they could touch them, make them slightly thicker, because that's the only thing that's like, it makes it seem a little bit dated to me in my head, is because when I see that obviously they're a thinner sort of lightsaber, but then Rebels kind of went along with that by making
we said it last time, but I think Rebels went too skinny. I think they
I didn't want my to knock off on a tangent, but my worst lightsaber from Rebels would probably be the Grand Inquisitor and Ezra's, because they were so like, I remember the first time Ezra drew his blade, and I was like, "Is that a lightsaber?" And then they was going on, and then they're going on about the dials of like how you can change the thickness or whatever else, and I was like, "Yeah, but have we never done that?" Okay, fair enough. But I don't know. And his lightsaber's cheating, guys. You don't have a gun and a lightsaber, okay? That's like the scoundrel Jedi.
But how would you even build that? That's what I thought. I was like, oh, I understand why they wanted to do it, because they wanted to try and make him still I don't know, like a street rat, I suppose is the best way to put it, and then him becoming
my understanding of that, like, I feel like we're gonna end up talking about this for time, but my understanding of that lightsaber, of Ezra's lightsaber, was like it converted the power of the kyber crystal to shoot the beams of when it's used as a gun, because from my recollection, and this is actually just giving me a reason to go and watch Rebels again, so which I will do. Thank you, G&G, you did very well. I don't think he can fire the lightsaber while the blade is drawn. I'm sure that scene where
he does. He has to stop. Go. Stop. Go. Yeah.
So, but to me, and you know, guys, you want to roast me in the comments, you're more than welcome. You know them big industrial staple guns? That's what his lightsaber handle and hilt.
Yes,
I look at that, and it's like,
it is a
this
bit
is not a
tacky.
lightsaber. Lightsabers do not do this.
I don't mind Rebels, and I must say, I just look past that bit. I'm like, okay, it's a bit stupid, but it's.
Oh no, it doesn't take anything away.
It doesn't take anything.
It's just a little great, you know.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
But yeah, there's a bit of silly things in this, like the Minox. It's like really silly, really playful, but then it comes out, they put it there. Well, how do they get into that situation to come out of this situation? Minox. And then like you find out the cave, that's no cave, and like the shots, and it's like, that's great. And it's just, you get silly things in Star Wars, and then but like that, it's all there for a purpose. It's like, you know, you could moan about the little when Yoda on the looking like a backpack, or when Luke is doing his training and does these
flips or whatnot.
But like, it's like, you can just, it's not, it's fun, it's playful, but it doesn't break the storyline, and I like that.
I'll tell you another thing. The darkest scene I would say that's in this movie, after the whole fight initially with Vader, when Luke is hanging for his life. You know, that for me as a child watching that, I was like, hold on, we found out that's his dad. He's cut his hand off, and now he's just hanging for his very existence, calling out with the Force. You know, trying to. That was quite a dark scene. So I think that set a different tone and pace towards the movies.
Well, I like it because you get, like, this whole movie, you get the group, I suppose, before Lando comes in, the group as we know it together. They get broken up. You got, like, Han has to go and, like, with Leia, and they're doing their thing, and then R2 and Luke are kind of training with Yoda, and then of course he gets that insight or vision, or whatever you want to call it, of they're in pain, and they even warn him, like Obi-Wan says, you know, if you go to fight Vader now, we can't you're not ready. You're not ready. And it like, and even to you watching it, you know he's not ready, because you've seen what Yoda can do just by this being calm and very wise.
To him anyway, you know, like, he was too old. He would have, you know, there was no way he'd be able to do it. So there was a lot of doubt that was put into place. But then I think that kind of made us, at that age, and when we obviously watched it, like, love Luke even more so, because he was so willing and determined not to obviously fail. And then obviously when you find out about the reveal of his father, you know, I think it just kind of shows even more of his character arc, of how the odds are always against him, but Luke is not the sort of person that will, like, turn and run. He will always try and face adversity and, you know, reach what he needs to and do what he needs to. So, you know, Luke is always perceived to be the white knight in sequels and not sequels and prequels, OTs and prequels, not in sequels, but
it's just his whole his willingness to go against, I suppose, the top man, if you want to say that, against Vader, to try and save his friends. And it is just at this point, they're just his friends as we know it. And it's like great, you know, like the downside of, like, we have all the torture from Han, and he gets must sense all that, and he knows he needs to go to Cloud City, and he knows it's a trap, and but he still needs to kind of, you know, get there. And it's I love the build. The best thing about that is when he gets that insight, but the build up to it, because you know, we've now got Luke going against Vader, and this is going to happen. We've got that in our back of our heads that Luke's on his way. But then you've got the whole scene with the torture with Han, and then him going to be put into carbonite. And you're like, what is going on here? So your whole distraction is being pulled away from Luke coming to, you know.
We also have the very iconic scene that comes soon to, you know, Leia's and Luke's little talk of, I love you. I know.
Well, got changed. He got changed the thing, because that was Harrison Ford, because it was like, you know, I love you too, and then everybody was like, that don't seem right, that's not right. and then they went, do it again, like do it again. No, it's not right. And then they went, just do something. And then he just went, I know. And then, yeah, the cut, that's it. And it just is great. It's iconic.
All of his character, because prior to this, in the previous movie, obviously there's that clear love interest between Leia and Han, but they're initially just getting to know each other. It's not towards the end of the movie that you really see any sort of real connection. And then in Empire, even with how you can see that their relationship is growing stronger, he's not the sort of character that says words like that. He's a scoundrel. So but I think it was very befitting to the scene. It did seem a bit odd, but it was befitting to the scene. And obviously the character,
because like even when like Boba Fett comes up to Vader and says, if he dies, he's worth a lot to me, and he's like, well, you'll be compensated, like, don't care, like, if it doesn't work out. And then that's like, oh, this hasn't been tested. And even Lando's like, this has never been tested like on like people before.
And it looked horrifying as well when he was put in there, because it's like
when he's like comes out, it's like that, you're like, oh, what is going on? Then
to get into lore, and we cannot count it, but they have said anyway, when people come out of carbonite from being frozen, they get like PTSD, some of them, and whatever else, and so I think that might have came into play in the later movie with Han, because it's just like, we've got to kind of like free him from carbonite and get him back out and back into the world again. So Han never had a lot of good moments in this film. He had some good moments, but it didn't go too well for Han. But it was necessary, obviously, for the payoff that we then got in the last film. But
but I like it because instantly then you get. I love the bit of scene where they're in the corridors and he's just floating. Boba Fett's just taking him out, going to take him out to Slave One, and of course then Lando kind of turns and we got Luke as well going for the trap, and then it's like he just comes in with his blaster, and you're like, okay, what's he gonna do? And then of course he goes into I suppose it's the carbonite, the chamber area, whatever you want to call it, and then of course it's just iconic kind of fight. I think this whole fight scene is Vader knows it's his son, and when you kind of get that, he's taunting.
I was gonna say, because I know we all
whirling these things.
Because I know it's a fight, but he essentially was trying to turn him throughout the whole of that fight, and he was trying to gauge his power. Because if we see in the like, I don't want to go on too much, and that's gonna be your episode, but I don't want to go on too much for the next one. But like, if you gauge that fight to the previous fight, Vader was more than that. The energy was completely different, and it felt like he was every 2 to 3 minutes, he was kind of amplifying his power up a bit more, so to see how much Luke could take, how far he could push him, how much he could make him delve into his emotions and whatnot, and try and turn him essentially. So that was a fight, but that fight felt more like there was more dialogue in the fight.
Well, he's also been ordered to keep him alive, bring him to me, know, and it is things like when he pushes him down into the I suppose the chamber, and then he thinks he's done it, he switches off, and then he jumps up and he's like, impressive, and it's like that, and it's like, and then they have a fight, but he's still, there's a bit where you can see Luke's anger when he kicks him off the platform, doesn't he? And then they go into the corridor, and it's just like, and it's then of course Vader goes, you're not doing that again. It's like that. It's my show, You might have thought you had the upper hand slightly there, but I'm kind of bored toying with you. So it's like,
I've had enough of these games.
I just love it. Like that the set design on that whole area. I love it because you got the circular windows and all that, and it's just that
that's very
don't know what's going on. And it's just everything about it is very iconic, and it's and it keeps on going back.
Like the smoke as well when we get into the latter part of the fight, where he's up on the I forget the name of the thing that he's up on. When Luke's up on the upper platform and jumps down, and there's like, you see Vader and the iconic sort of smoke and the silhouette of Vader as well. I was like, that must be terrifying. Just to see that silhouette and a red beaming lightsaber. It's like, I'm running.
Well, it is like whatever anybody thinks. Like Vader gets so much like when he brings him out on like to the gantry, I suppose, like that onto the thing. Like Luke's trying his hardest, but like yeah, he gets one swipe onto his upper arm, doesn't he? He slightly hits him, but he's still backing off, and then he hits him, and he's back but he's still backing off. He's still in retreat, and then of course he takes his hand, and then I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, oh. Like, because that's your own moment. Is like he's just lost his hand.
Yeah.
And then like it's like.
And if you look at Mark's face at that moment in time, the second he loses hand, obviously the iconic scream, but the look of, and I paused this, the look of terror on his face is just like, I've just lost my hand, and at this moment in time, he doesn't know of any other Jedi in the whole of the galaxy. Yeah. It's just like, I'm screwed in a sense, and then to find out, that bellowing line delivered, beautifully by James Earl Jones was.
Well, it is. It's great because it's like Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, and he's like, I told you. He told me enough. You killed him. He's like, no, I am your father, and it's just that whole thing, and it's great because, like, not until later in time, like that whole side, like, wow. But even like Mark Hamill, he got told, no, Kenobi killed your father, and that was the line that was delivered by David Prowse, and it's like that, but it was only inserted, but he's still, oh no, and they're like, we want that. It's brilliant, and then you get the whole thing is where Vader then tells him, together we can destroy the Emperor, and we can, think. So he got some underwhite, like you realize Vader's got some real hatred for the Emperor, and then that even escalates. Who is this? Okay, he's like anger. It's just brilliant. It's just that thing. And then of course, I know some people don't like it, and it's a bit odd. Is when Luke jumps, and he jumps 400 feet in the air, and he managed to get into that one shaft, and then the shaft slows him down. And then I don't get why the shaft had a trapdoor.
Armor.
It's weird. It's like, is that a garbage chute? And then it just happens to be, and then he shoots down another one, and then they go, and then he just, as you said like earlier, he just, I'm hanging off the bottom of a floating city.
And why did the floating city have one spire? Like it like all this amazing feat, these beautiful cloud cars and and all these other things that they did. It's just like this whole city is supported by one spire, and this keeps this whole thing up. And he's just there completely, lost a limb, lost his pride, completely out of energy, calling for Leia, and trying to hear out to Luke, so hear out to Obi-Wan. So more than anything, at that moment in time, Luke was destroyed, and to see, as I said, when I watched OTs, there was nothing prior to this. Same with you. To see the movies take such a turn like that, I think that's another massive selling point and reason why people watch this film, is because it was such a change and such a difference in contrast to the previous movie. But I wanted to get onto my theory. So my theory with that fight was that Vader was just, as we said, he was toying with him. He was gauging if he was strong enough to become his apprentice, essentially take on the Emperor. Because
that's what he says. Your destiny, like the Emperor's seen it. You will destroy him. It is your destiny. So it is. But it is like, I completely agree with you there. He is doing it to say, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready?
And the Emperor as well. Like, let's be honest, what the tactics that Vader employs. The Emperor has never been kind in any of the tactics that he's employed with Vader. He's kept him as a subservient dog the whole time that he's had him. That's why, he, I don't want to go off tangent too much, but we can. There's so much media that shows of all the terrible accounts of things that Palpatine did, even prior to him becoming Vader, to Anakin / Vader. So. Yeah, it just felt like the whole fight, and we, he says it and we see it. It's just him essentially step by step trying to show him the ferocity of what essentially is going to happen if you delve on this path with me to destroy the Emperor and you become my apprentice, in the way that Vader had foreseen it to, play out and happen. So, but what do you think that there was anything that could have essentially could have been added or changed to that fight scene in any way at all? Do you think there's any dialogue that we needed? Do you think that
I think it's perfect. I think because in your head you're still, because it flips between them trying to rescue Han and they don't, and you're like, oh well, he's screwed. And then you've got this fight where Luke is literally getting beaten and is in retreat, and then he loses his hand. It's literally, and even the limited dialogue, it's not a lot of dialogue in it, it's just the odd snippet, is great. And then you're like, hold it, and like if you actually think about it at the time, they're all the good guys win. The good movie, right? Good guys win. You don't get bad guys win like that. You don't get movies like that now where they turn it on their the tables, and you know, and you'll be like, if you're watching this just blindly, and it was the first time, you'd be like, okay, how are they going to get out of this? Oh, they're not. Okay, how are they going to? Oh, they're not. They're not. And it's just, you know, it's great.
It's the mystery as well of what's going to happen in the following movie, because there's all this opposite of payoff happening where, you know, we're going to rescue Han, it doesn't happen, we're going to try, you know, Anakin, you know, the reveal comes of Darth Vader, Luke loses his hand, we find out about you know, there's actually there is about 5 to 10 major plot points in this movie where essentially they lose. And I think that is the biggest selling point of it, is because we got to see these heroes really be tested for their worth of what would happen. So then I think that probably put a lot of perspective into the sales of what happened for the final movie, because people were like, okay, well, Han's gone, you know, Luke's lost a hand, Cloud City was under the rule of, you know, Vader, and everything else that's played out. Yeah, you are right, because you know, movies never really did play out like that, where the hero would lose, or if the hero did lose, they regain themselves by the end of the film. Like they'll, you know, something happens, and then there's like a hero's tale that then ensues. So I think
like the whole manipulation of Yoda and Ben Kenobi, as he is now, like Obi-Wan, like in Central, I know they say it's a different point of view in the next movie, but they've been lying. You know, like that. And you've got to think, like, even to the point where he's been lied to his whole life, because Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, they knew, everybody knew that, you know, you are Vader's son. And this is literally, and the only way the balance is going to fulfill this tyranny across the galaxy is going to end is you've got to kill your father. But it's great. That's why everybody loves it.
Like, I can understand that the impact of being told that. Imagine being told that as a young child. You know, that could have.
That's what screwed over Anakin.
If Luke was told that, I know, but if Luke was told that at such an early age, and no disrespect to Anakin, but look what happened to Anakin. The story wouldn't have played out how it did. He wouldn't have become the person that he was. You know, and if anything, the story needs to play out how it was for, you know, the events of it to happen. But this movie was the heroes losing, and I think it tells an even more interesting story. Because imagine if they just won throughout this film, there'd be no payoff for the following movie in any way as well, because we wouldn't have anything to you know, to set up in that sense. But so that, I think. Well, I'm trying to think. Right, my top favorite scenes from this, of course, like number one is obviously always going to be, you know, Anakin. I keep saying Anakin, Vader and Luke's fight scene, and the whole reveal, introduction more so into Boba Fett. That's obviously going to be another one. The carbonite scene, and the whole carbonite scene as well, from him getting put in, you know, the initial talk prior, him getting put in carbonite. The Yoda introduction scene, both of the cave scenes, from the Wampa cave scene to the cave scene on Dagobah, and
you just stop you there. You're naming the whole movie.
I'm a droid. I'm a droid scene. They're like my.
But it is true. Like
there's so many iconic bits. I can't not name those parts. If I was to say just Darth Vader, everyone.
But that's it. You go like. It's it's silly, like it's from Echo Base, the Hoth bit, the Wampa, and then all the Tauntauns and everything else, and then you get the next bit, and it's even to the end. Like I love the end scene where you get all the medical frigates and all the other ones, and you see the rebellion, like they're in tatters and they're scattered, and then it's like great because you get the Millennium Falcon, and then of course you get the weird Lando in Han's clothes. But that whole the shot where they're all going through, just, you know, we don't know where they're going, they're just flying willy-nilly in space. Lando is off to go and try and who is Jabba again. Literally, he's the, you know, we've got to go and rescue him. We don't know anything about this gangster. Jabba the Hutt, who is he? What is he? We're gonna find out. That's another cliffhanger. Luke's now got a mechanical hand. And then it's just that whole thing with, like, they're just looking out into the galaxy, and there's this cluster of like a unit, like a galaxy.
Just got on another tangent. So so you say about the mechanical hands, this and obviously which plays into obviously how cruel the Emperor was. So if we look at Luke's mechanical hand and we look at Vader's mechanical hand, the limbs and augmentations that he gave Vader was like kind of the scraps at the bottom of a box, because he wanted him to constantly always be in pain and feel that anger and anguish, because Siths obviously drew off anger and pain and whatever else. And if you look at Luke's hand was quite elegant. And I know obviously he's the predecessor of Vader and Anakin, and obviously probably, you know, was very good at tinkering and whatnot. But that's something that always stayed in me in later years when I watched the prequels and whatnot, because I was just like, you really got screwed over with him, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I know it goes more into like the comics and all that, of how badly the suit was so de-aging, and it literally he put him in it because he knew he couldn't be taken out of it.
Guys, watch the Vader. What was it? The Vader Dark? Is it Dark? No, it's I know what you're on about with the comics.
It's dark. I'm sure it's Dark Horse, isn't it? One of
Dark Horse. Yeah. Is this 8 parts? I've read it before. Now. It's a mini series. Watch that and explains a lot more. But yeah, as you were saying.
But yeah, that whole it's just you have to go delve into it all. But this, like, it just it this one leaves you with, like, I will, you know, coming out of the, you know, like people coming out of the cinema, like being like 20 odd, like, you know, back in the day, they must have come back and gone, what just happened? Because you've got the good guys just won, and I love that move, and it went stratosphere, and now you're left with the baddies just won. What? And everybody's screwed. And what is going to happen? And it's great. And then we've still not seen the Emperor. We've still not seen Jabba, you know, like in the flesh. We've heard about him. We've seen
we've got a lot of character development that's set up to pay off at a later date, which then initially made us obviously realize there must be a third movie, because obviously with the first movie, you know, it was set as a one and done scenario. It was so popular they made the second. And this, I will state this now. This is my personal best sequel movie. Not third movie, second movie. Sorry, it's my best second movie. It's my best second movie. It doesn't beat Revenge of the Sith, but it's my best second movie.
Would I? Yeah, I would have to put this probably in my top 5 movies of all time. And I mean, it might go in the top 3. So this is literally one of my favorite ever. Yeah.
And if I was to rank it from Star Wars second movies, it's always number 1. There's no I love Attack of the Clones, but Attack of the Clones has no payoff.
No,
to this.
No, you know? This has limited flaws. If like I've said previously, if I had to say what would I change in any movie, and would I always struggle. I'm like, I wouldn't change that. I just wouldn't change anything. There's not a single thing, except for maybe like the Luke through the shaft one was a bit silly, but doesn't matter. It's still relevant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change a single thing about this movie, from the dialogue to the payoffs to the pacing to the weird reveal with Luke as Vader and then Luke, you know, the weird scene. It's just everything about this movie I can just love. It is great.
It sets up so much of a tone for the following film. It gives us so much anticipation as well of what's to come. You know, I mean, we get so many different reveals, so many twists and turns within this movie. I generally feel like this film, and it's going to be a big thing to say, but this film, I feel like it makes Star Wars. This is a true Star Wars movie. Certain Star Wars movies for me are what I would consider to be. It's a
masterclass in writing. It's a masterclass in directing. Visually,
set design, sound, you know,
Even let's say like even the remastered bits, like there's bits in Return of Jedi I don't like because it's been remastered, but even this bit,
I don't feel like the ones from Empire take anything away from the original. I can watch both and appreciate both, you know.
Yeah.
And as I said with George, he's the person this is his universe. So if George comes out and goes, nope, we're doing this, it's like, okay, you know. So yeah. Well,
go on then. Out of 10 then.
Out of 10, out of 10, I can't give anything a 10. As I said, it's impossible. No movie can ever have a 10. It can't have a 9.5. It will get a 9 from me. But it gets a solid 9. It's not like, it gets a 9. No, it gets a solid 9. It deserves the 9 for plot point, story, visual, costume design, sounds, impact, nostalgia. With nostalgia glasses on and with nostalgia glasses off, this still will always get a 9. It sets a real tone. It's truly, for me, a Star Wars movie. It gets a 9.
Yeah, this is. I would give it a 9.97. Let's go for that. I'm going near enough to a perfect movie. But that's
for you.
Because
this is
I love
a film that at any moment in time could be on. You're like, I know we're both Star Wars fans and that would happen anyway. But I mean, like, if this film was on any time, you're like, yeah, I'll watch it.
Oh yeah, I could literally just be sat down, and I'm gonna watch it again. It's literally, if somebody went, you're gonna watch it, put it on. You know, I could easily, and I will enjoy it like I enjoyed it the first time. I won't be as shocked as much with the shock reveals, but I will enjoy it as much.
But a great movie. It doesn't matter if you've seen it 1,000 times or you've only seen it once.
I would
hate that feeling of anticipation. You're still like, oh no, Luke. But even though
I would hate to know how many times I've watched this movie. Would hate to
I'll
know.
raise you one. How many times I've raised this movie and still winched every single time that Luke loses his hand, even though I know it's going to happen. I'm like,
what's happening. You're like,
I was like, Luke, no. I was just like, wait, we know what's going to happen. But
it's great.
That's great storytelling. When a film that you've already seen 100 times can still give you that same sort of effect and that, not nostalgia, but just that happy sort of feeling, that's great storytelling more than anything. But that has been our review, part 2, obviously, The Empire Strikes Back. Big shout out to Jedi. The next episode that we obviously do will be over on his channel, which I know you've been looking forward to doing that one as well. So is there anything you want to say before we go today?
No, it's just, I just love this movie. I like in the comments, just give us a thumbs up if you love this movie. I don't think you have to give it out scores out of 10. It's if A New Hope was a gateway to Star Wars, this just rubber stamped it with the approval mark for everyone.
I think something that me and you both need to do in the future, because we both kind of feel the same about the Boba Fett series. I think we need to review each episode. That'll be it'd be fun, and also from the different perspectives of it, because I'm sure, obviously don't tell me now, but I only like certain episodes of Boba Fett. I'm not going to say what they are, and I'm sure yours may be the same or may be different. So I think
that'd be interesting, because I think some of mine are very controversial that I was like, I don't like that.
But it was like,
and then I was like, am I getting that? A lot of people like it, and I was like, no, there's reasons. There's reasons you do and you don't, with Star Wars. But this one, I think, even if we've said about the Disney or the prequels or whatever, this one's generally loved by everyone. It's like, I don't think you're going to get a lot of nitpicking. It's just great. But we're gonna have unfortunately it's going to be a break, so it's not next week, the week after, because I've got a girlfriend's birthdays coming up. But
well, what I'm going to do,
we're going to go really deep. We've got 2 weeks to think about it now and really go for it.
What I'm going to do for you guys anyway is you're going to get one video which will go up this evening, and then the next video will go up the following Saturday. So you won't even feel like we've been away, guys.
You see our happy smiley faces.
And, don't forget to look at Jedi to Jedi's channel, because I know that you put up shorts as and when you do pop them up and whatnot, and your TikToks there's enough Star Wars content that's going to be here for you guys. I've bought a lot of new Star Wars products as well to unbox, so we've got our fill for you there. But big shout out to Jedi. I've been gmgnews. Have a fantastic day. This has been a review conversation / podcast talk about The Empire Strikes Back. We'll see you all soon. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace.